Hello there folks, this is Uncle Troy. Today we are talking about my new Garmin Nuvi 40 GPS. Let's get a good shot of that for you. This is the box it comes in, and a non-typical picture of what the user interface looks like. Here's more or less what it looks like. You got various screens, settings, etc. Hope that turns out good. Here's what the actual device looks like. And we're going to pause here for a moment while I pose for a screenshot. Okay, that'll be the picture everybody sees when they browse through the videos. All right, let's wait for it to boot up here. I got this for Christmas. Santa Claus was very good to me this year. And if you want to make fun of me for believing in Santa Claus, well, sorry, can't hear you over the sound of my turn-by-turn directions. When it boots up, you got a warning screen here. Do not attempt to alter the settings or anything. Oops, sorry. While you're in motion, you got the option then. Let's see. Let's adjust the settings here for the display. Brightness turn down a little. There we go. You got the option of saying where to, or to view the map. If you hit where to, it lets you choose things, a certain address, home, points of interest, etc. Pretty nice bright display. You can see it in full sunlight. View map will show your current location. Currently we're acquiring satellites because I'm indoors and this thing does not pick up indoors. Well, we're going to have to wait for it to decide it cannot find a satellite and give us some more options. In the meantime, I'll talk about it. I got it for my truck. My truck, it's an older truck, you know, not the type anybody would actually expect to see a GPS in, but I always wanted one. Not because I really need turn-by-turn directions, but because they can keep track of mileage and speed independently of your speedometer and odometer. And I was concerned that, you know, an old truck, things might be getting out of adjustment, and I might be, you know, slowly getting faster and faster, or slower and slower. That's my personal opinion on why little old people drive so slow, is because over the years that big Buick they're driving, the speedometers got out of whack, and they think they're doing 60 miles an hour when they're really doing 30. All right, this is still not, hasn't given up on acquiring satellites yet. There we go. Because it turns on the GPS simulator, which allows you certain actions that you can do. So you can click to a screen here. This is one of my favorites. See if we can get it adjusted just right here. Too many lights in this room. But basically, over here, you've got a speedometer display that's pretty good sized. Up here, it will show how many miles you've driven, your bearing and current altitude, your max speed, the total time you spent moving in this trip, down, your average speed, the time you spent stopped during this trip, your total speed, or average speed including the time you spent stopped, and the total time you spent traveled, both stopped and beginning. Now notice that this thing thinks that my average speed while I'm moving is 1,601 miles an hour. And the average speed when I'm including stop time is 1,292 miles an hour. And if you go back a notch, it thinks my total mileage is 9,242 miles. And you may say, gee, Uncle Troy, your truck is very fast and you have driven a lot since you got this thing at Christmas. And actually that's not the case entirely. What happens is, I think when it loses the GPS signal, sometimes it resets to its default location, which I believe is in Chicago, Illinois. I know when I first got it, before I had taken it outside, I had it hooked to my computer, just charging up a USB connector. I hope you can see this here, but it's a standard USB connector. Where are you at here? Yeah. It looks something like this. Yeah. And that just plugs right in. And actually, this is the power supply for something else entirely, but it's standard. It comes with a 12-volt car adapter that you can plug in. But while I was playing with it in the house, it kept thinking I was in Chicago, Illinois. So I think what happens is sometimes when it loses the signal, it thinks I'm in Chicago, Illinois. And because of that, it thinks that I have gone back and forth from my little town of Tennessee to Chicago, Illinois several times, and it's racked up over 9,000 miles. So if you're planning to use this for logging, say, a business expense, a trip, or whatever, you may want to look at another option, because if this thing loses the GPS signal and thinks you've gone to Chicago, Illinois and back, your boss is going to, kind of balk at paying you that 29 cents a mile or whatever your travel expense is. Now, I can reset that and go, but I just find it so amusing that my truck can do 1,601 miles an hour. Let's see, I think the speed of sound is around 768 miles an hour, give or take, so that's a little over Mach 2. So I've got a 1989 Chevy truck that can do over 2 times the speed of sound. Top Gun, eat your heart out. But let us suppose that we want to go to, say, the nearest restaurant or whatever. Well, we've got, we can type in an address, we can say go home, points of interest, etc. We're going to get points of interest, food and drink, one of several options. We can also do fuel, shopping, etc. And we'll say the nearest Asian food place, and it tells me we got a Thai cuisine place about 12 miles down the road, 12 miles to the west. And like I said, this does not show up well at all. Panda Garden, actually I've eaten there at Panda Garden several times. That is a good place. 13 miles away to the west. One of the food places was called Yummy. I'm not sure I want to eat at a place that's called Yummy. It'll also allow you to set a home, go home. Now, according to a friend of mine at work, never, ever, ever program your GPS so that home is your actual home. Because what will happen is somebody will break into your car, they'll steal your car or just your GPS. They will hit the go home button.
Arriving at destination on right.
Oops. Of course, I did not listen to his advice and actually programmed in my home address. But he says what the criminal will do is he will steal your GPS, say go home. He will beat you home and clean out your house because he knows you're not home because he just stole something from your car. So what my friend suggested is, and I think this is hilarious, and I will probably do this, is instead of entering your home address where it says go home, drive down to the local police station or the local security company, any place with like lots of cameras, lots of people with badges, and enter that as your home address. I can't remember if I got home and just clicked and said this is home or if I actually typed in my address. But you want to do that, and that way if somebody steals your GPS, about the time you realize they've stolen your GPS and you call up the police to say, hey, I'm missing a GPS, that's about the time the suspect, as the police like to call it, will be pulling into the parking lot looking for your house to steal stuff. So I really like that option. You can adjust the volume. You can adjust different languages, different voices. I think I'm sticking with the default. Or no, I think I changed to Michelle. Let me check this here. Yes, American English Michelle. Now I can set it to Samantha, and I believe American English Samantha was the original one who comes default.
Arriving at home, on right.
Yeah. But I prefer Samantha, options, language, or excuse me, I prefer Michelle. Don't tell Samantha I prefer Michelle. She'd get upset.
Arriving at destination on right.
Hey, what do you know? I am currently, according to this, I'm currently driving 64 miles an hour due north. And no, you can't borrow my GPS. I'm using it right now. Oh, sorry, that was one of my nephews. Anyway, I've told stories in the past about how I did not care for GPSs. I hear a lot of stories online about people that get into car wrecks because they're trying to follow the GPS instructions, and the GPS takes them to a route that's no longer viable or was never viable. Okay, according to this, I'm now 2 miles away from my house, even though we're sitting here. So that's what it does when you lose your GPS signal. Let's see. Cancel, stop, thank you. Anyway, story of car thieves and whatnot stealing your GPS and beating you home. But the main reason I never wanted a GPS for a long time was that I was driving by a local electronics store. I forget the name. It's not in business anymore, so don't worry about looking for it. And they had a sign out front that said GPS sale, 50% off, free installation. And I thought, okay, if I'm saving half the money and I'm getting free installation, I need this GPS. So I went in. It was a big clunky thing. It was about the size of this box compared to the size of this, thing. So there was a GPS. I forget the brand name, forget the model number, but I know it was the size of this box. And free installation, it turned out, was a piece of double-sided sticky tape that was included with the GPS. And all they were going to do to install it in my truck was peel off the double-sided sticky tape. Where do you want it stuck on the dash? And I said, well, put it over here where the cord will reach. And so I noticed that the cord was dangling down. And I'm like, aren't you even going to plug that in for me? And said, no, that's not included with the installation. So I'm saying, so free installation is a set of double-sided sticky tapes, and they're like, yes. And I said, well, that's not very, customer friendly. That's not a very good deal or whatever. Don't you have something that'll mount it onto the under the rearview mirror or something that could mount it into the dash? And they're like, well, yeah, but that's not included in the free installation. Well, what is included in the free installation? Your double-sided sticky tape. So I decided, well, it's already installed, so I might as well drive on home. So I entered my home address. I said, where to? Go home.
In 800 feet, turn right.
And whatever. No, cancel, escape. So I said, okay, here's where I live. Drive me home. And so I'm driving home, and I noticed that sometimes it would say something like, coming up on the right, or coming up on the next intersection, turn right. But it would tell me that as I was pulling through the intersection. So it was lagging behind. And, of course, after a few streets, it finally got kind of in sync with where I was driving. Now, it didn't show me, unlike this one, it wouldn't show me a speed that I knew I was going, but I think it was estimating my speed. Eventually, it figured out how to estimate my speed and get my position. But the kicker was it wanted to take me on some weird back road that I'd never heard of. That was going to take like an hour longer to get where I was going than the straight drive up the interstate that I thought I should take. And the problem was, I stopped, I typed it back in, I said, let's make some changes, let's do this. It still wanted to take that one route that didn't exist. So I decided, well, I'll just drive on and we'll see if it corrects itself. And it never corrected itself. It was constantly telling me I needed to make a U-turn, I needed to make a right, make a left, whatever. So the kicker was I was crossing a bridge. I was over a river. And it said, turn right now. Turn right now. Now, if I'd turned right then, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I'd be dead. My truck would have went off into the river. And turn right now, turn right now, turn right now, until about the time I got off the bridge. Then it said, make an immediate U-turn, then turn left. So not only did it try to make me turn right and go off the bridge, but it wanted me to turn around and try again. And, the map was like a bare basics of a map, as I remember, and it didn't really show most of the actual streets. It was just all turn-by-turn directions. Speaking at you, and I hated it. And I did take the first U-turn, and I went right back to the store, and I gave it back, and they wanted to charge me extra for the free installation. I said I can peel up the double-sided sticky tape, and I think I ended up doing that, and I eventually got my money back. So I did not want, a GPS for a long time after that. But people tell me that, they got smaller, they got smarter, and I forgot to show you the back of the box. And that's basically how it's mounted to my windshield up near my rearview mirror. So as I'm checking out my rearview mirror, I can also check out this Garmin GPS. The other thing I didn't like was that somebody told me that their GPS, when they exceeded the speed limit, let's set this here, go home.
In 800 feet, turn right.
Okay. down here in the corner, it has your current speed. And if it knows the speed limit of your location, what road you're in, it'll put it there next to it.
Turn right.
Sure thing. So this thing will actually show a little red, flashing red, tell you that what it thinks the speed limit is, how fast you're actually going, and whether you're going faster than the speed limit or not.
In 800 feet, turn right.
I'll do that. Alrighty. Now, as you may or may not be able to see there, it thinks the speed limit is currently 45 miles an hour. And it thinks we're currently doing 45 miles an hour. If I was going faster than 45 miles an hour, and now we're up to 55, this would turn red and flash. And I like that. That's a good feature. Or you can simply go to this screen, and there it is telling you the speed. Now, the problem with some GPSs that I had seen and heard tale of was that if you were driving faster than it thought the speed limit was, they would beep every few seconds. Beep, 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 beep. I think one person said his GPS even talked to him and told him he was exceeding the posted speed limit. The problem is, what if there is road construction, and when the map is created, the speed limit is 35, but once the road construction is finished, the speed limit is 55? Well, the GPS doesn't know that, so it thinks you're speeding every time you drive through. And according to the people that told me, some GPSs have this feature. There's no way to turn that feature off. Well, this GPS does not have that feature, and everything that this GPS has, you can go to the settings mode and you can change. Update to the maps here. You connect it to a computer. You go to the Garmin website. Garmin's the people that made this GPS. You go to the Garmin website. You can download one update. I think I've got a couple more months before that runs out. I'll need to be sure to do that. I forget what the extra every yearly update cost after that, but one free update. The downside to this, we've got a box here, and of course it contained the mount and a little accessory guide and a quick start guide and some important safety information. It did not include an actual user's manual or any indication that a user's manual existed. And I actually had to go to the Garmin website and search for the user manual to figure out how to use this thing. And of course, once I did, loaded up the proper Java applet or whatever, I was able to connect, register the product, and start using it. I'm not sure if registering it was absolutely necessary or not. Anyway, so when you're finished, you hit the little power button up here. It'll give you the option to adjust the screen or power off. And down it goes. And like I said, it's pretty easy to pop it into the holder on your screen or on your windshield, and pop it out. And it's pretty easy to plug and unplug the charging cable, so you can take it out of the truck with you, stick it in your pocket, whatever, take it inside with you. And I've been doing that anyway because that way I get to show it off to my friends at work and at the mall and whatnot. But ideally you do that so nobody steals it, figures out where you live, and goes home and steals all your stuff. So that's the Garmin Nuvi 40 GPS. I have no idea what it costs because, like I said, Santa Claus got it for me. I just know I've had a lot of enjoyment with it. If you're looking for a GPS and have avoided them because they've had annoying things that you didn't like, this one, I don't have any annoying problems with it, except the fact that it thinks I've driven 9,000 miles since Christmas because it occasionally forgets where I am and thinks I'm in Chicago. All right, well, this is Uncle Troy signing out. Please have a good night.